My name is Pam Ambler, and I was born in Atlanta and still live in Atlanta today, but have moved a little bit further north with my husband and our daughter Fielding, who is about to turn 6. I work at a local high school, and my title is Associate Director of College Counseling, but what that means is I'm a strategist who works with students and families as they apply to college. Funny story, I remember being in Callaway Gardens, which I think is south or maybe west of town, and they had, somehow they had a partnership with Florida State, and there was a circus there, and I was certain that that's what I would do when I got older, and there were a couple of things that I started to learn as I grew, figuratively and literally, but one of them, I'm pretty tall, and as I did tumbling and gymnastics, I sort of aged out of that really quickly, and my dreams of being in the circus soon followed, got replaced. But it's funny because if you think about it, most of us do a lot of juggling and stunting in our work now, in the counseling field, and so I'll say maybe I achieved it in a minor way. I went to University of Georgia, graduated from there in 2003, worked professionally in a couple of different fields for a couple of years, and then realized it was time to get my master's, found Mercer's campus in Atlanta, and got my Master of Science in School Counseling from Mercer. So I had a unique skill set at the time, which was that I was working at Emory University in undergraduate admission, and I wanted to switch to the high school side, but I knew that a master's degree would make me more marketable in that goal. And Mercer became really attractive to me because they would allow you to sort of curate your own goals and meet you where you were. I would say most school counseling programs are designed for graduates to become school counselors and specifically work with mental health in the school setting. And while I was drawn to that, I didn't want to limit myself to that. I really wanted to use my skill set in selective college admission. And Mercer was the best fit to be nimble enough to work with me so that I could get the degree I wanted, but then apply it in the ways that I felt called to do. In August of 2010, sincerely the very first week of classes, my boyfriend at the time proposed. And I was so excited, but I also wasn't sure how to manage working, graduate school, and then planning a wedding and a new chapter of my life. And even in something as, I didn't start my master's work in order to find great friends, but that was a beautiful byproduct of that time in my life. I remember my professors being so happy for me in this new chapter of my life, and also friends who I made as I went through the program, just sort of being my cheerleaders as I worked to balance all of those new roles and responsibilities. And then when I'd been studying, I was about halfway through a 3-year program, so we'll call it 2012, my dream job became available, and that was working as a college counselor at Woodward Academy here in Atlanta on the south side of town. And the reason it's my dream job is because that's where I went to high school. Really, as I kind of crafted my plan to go and get a master's, it was hoping that I could one day land in a place like Woodward, but there was a big hurdle, which was I interviewed for the job and was offered the job, but they let me know that being in classes would likely interfere with my work, my 8 to 4 or 5 p.m. job, and that I needed to take a pause from getting my master's. But they wanted me to have a master's, but I couldn't be distracted by that work while I was new and adjusting to the roles and responsibilities of being a college admission counselor at Woodward. And I was completely frozen. I didn't know what to do with that excitement because I wanted to earn a master's and I wanted to have this job, but it felt like the message I was hearing was that I couldn't do both at the same time. And Mercer said, we'll wait. Take a semester, get used to your new role, and then just enroll in the evening classes. And don't worry about it. If it takes you longer, it takes you longer, but we're here and you need to take that job. And that truly changed my life because I began to kind of find my footing on the high school side, was able to develop trust with the families who sent their students there, began to really walk the walk of that strategy work in college admission counseling and helping families. And then in the evenings, I was here at Mercer taking classes, and my weekends really became all about getting all that work done because my weeks were so full with having a new job. And in our head, and we're forced to reevaluate and pivot, and Mercer is nimble enough and also just cares enough about their students. Absolutely, Mercer changed my life and impacted it in all positive ways. Yeah, so it's worth making sacrifices when you're focused on a goal, and those sacrifices don't feel quite as sacrificial once you, when you stay focused on what it is that you're hoping to achieve. I think the other thing that Mercer really taught me is, and reinforced in me, is a value of mentorship. I feel like our professors here were very approachable and very much partners in the process and encouraged us to be there for one another. A great example of that would be that we were required to have a group counseling class. And that, of course, when you put people in a group, you learn from the people around you, you develop trust immediately. And that mentorship piece was really baked into my experience here. And as I think about myself as a professional, that is something that I'm most proud of, is learning to mentor others the way I appreciated being mentored when I was here at Mercer. But as far as my legacy, I want to be remembered as someone who is an includer. And whether that's, as I'm teaching our daughter to include others on the playground and there's always room for one more, or whether it's, at our lunch at school, since I work in a school, making sure that, others can sit down and just have lunch with me, or whether it's, just I play tennis for fun and I want to be kind always to my opponent, and just being inclusive is how I'd like to be remembered, that I always took time to be a friend. Don't believe everything you think. I need to live by that quote, and as I'm partnering professionally with parents, students, and they're applying to colleges, just don't believe everything you think. When we lock into those hunches and preconceived notions, we're limiting ourselves from minute one. And I think it's important to question the status quo and to question ourselves and our own beliefs in order to grow.